We are live at College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. Welcome in. Don't be shy. The water's warm. Come on in. Come on in. This is College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. Smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel and share the video with your family and friends. We have got a lot to get into tonight, but less than I thought we were going to get into. West Virginia guy, nice to see you in the house. Daniel, Mr. Hoosier, Mount Castle, nice to see you in the house. Adrian Rodriguez, nice to see you. A new person in the chat room. Appreciate it. Come on in. We're talking about the college football playoffs. I'm going to give you my predictions. You can see them on our high-tech graphic board. Peek around the corner chalkboard. Yes, we got Georgia minus 6.5. We got Michigan minus 7.5. We're taking the favorites in both games. We're giving the points. We're going to go through why we're going to do that also. Tonight we were planning on talking about the intel we have received that we've been working on for the last 3 weeks. We've been alluding to stuff on our last couple live shows, and we were going to go into a deep dive. I'm only going to be able to lightly touch upon it tonight. About the Florida State money perch, discussing some stuff with BTM and his associates. And if you need to know who BTM and his associates are, go to Flug Empire, go to the pinned tweet, and you can read an article in the Los Angeles Times about you're not going to know who he is, but why BTM and his associates are linked to our program at Peek Around the Corner. I would love to be able to discuss it with you all tonight, but I'm unable to. Recently, after I've sent out those tweets, we're going to stand down on most of what we're going to discuss tonight. So, if you came here primarily about the Florida State information, I'm just going to lightly touch upon it. If you want to, I understand. If you want to leave the stream, give me a dislike, unsubscribe to our channel, go ahead. But I need you all to be more patient on this possible brewing story. But we cannot tell the story tonight. But we're going to lightly touch upon it. There does seem to be a perception from the Florida State money perch. They perceive that Florida State believes there is an exit hatch from the ACC. And it might be, most probably, is shared with other schools in the ACC. It's not the traditional things of what we've discussed that we don't even believe in here. We don't believe in the dissolution theory. We've talked about it because ACC leaders have discussed it in the open, basically. We've read the articles. We've posted the articles on episodes and on live shows. But we just can't get into it. Even though I promoted it on our live show for tonight, we can't go into the reasons why. But I promise you, if you just hang with us here at Peek Around the Corner, months down the line, we'll be able to discuss it more detail than most of or anybody else can express it. I apologize to you profusely. But since the time we put out that this was what we're going to talk about, the Florida State money perch, since that time, until right before we came on, we had to make a decision to stand down. Not because of the Florida State money perch, but for other reasons. Okay? I apologize profusely. I would say to you all, stick with us in the next few months. Keep your eyes and ears open to the potential ever-growing possibility that there could be a story looming among the ACC. Nothing is imminent right now, as we said when we promoted this live show tonight, but we were going to tell you basically A, B, C, D, E that had to happen, and it was different than anything we've discussed here at Peek Around the Corner. And we just can't talk about it because we can't talk about it. There's nothing about us being sued. That's not the reason why we're not talking about it. But we have a couple of things going for us here at Peek Around the Corner. One, we have the credibility. We've broken stories before, small and big. And number two, what we got going for us is our relationships. We want to make sure we keep a good relationship with everybody we talk to. We're standing down for the moment. For the moment. But stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. This was not a tease. This was actual information that we were going to share. But we think it's better that we hold off on it and let other things happen. Okay? I apologize once again. We've never done that before. We've never said we're going to talk about A and then not talk about A. We've always talked about what we've promoted. But this is a very unusual circumstance, so we're standing down for tonight. You can ask me questions. I can lightly touch around it, but I can't give you the main core of what we're going to discuss. And I do apologize from us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you. We do apologize for this. Again, if you want to hit that dislike button, I don't blame you. But do not unsubscribe to our channel. Stick with us. Stick with us. Because just stick with us, okay? All right. So let me get to my predictions. Why I think Georgia -6.5 is the play. Why Michigan -7.5 is the play. The Bulldogs and the Wolverines. Let's get to Georgia first. Okay, I know I got Buckeye fans. Yeah, Matt Higgins, Greg, Hudson Card to Purdue. Big pickup for the Boilermakers. A huge pickup for the Boilermakers. Humongous. I can't believe it. God, as a Gopher fan, I got to tell you, that hurts. That hurts. Big pickup for the Boilermakers. Purdue got a better quarterback than the Cornhuskers did in the transfer portal. Purdue got a better quarterback than whoever Illinois is going to get. Purdue had the best quarterback in the Big Ten West in 2022. And now they're probably going to have the best Big Ten quarterback in 2023. Unless, of course, Athan Klekamanis, the Greek rifle, improves even more. But I got Georgia, guys. I got Georgia. Stenson Bennett. 67.9 passing percent, completion percentage. Over 3,400 yards. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. You got McIntosh and Edwards. Neither of them were a star, but they both average over 5 yards per rush. 700 over 700 yards, over 600 yards. McConkey, Bowers, the great tight end. Darnell Washington, that great defense. But again, to me, Georgia's going to come to play. They're going to bring the physicality, their great athletic ability. And can the Buckeyes just turn it up a few notches? Can they get physical overnight, basically, and challenge the Bulldogs? I just don't think they can. I don't think they can. Now, a lot of Big Ten fans are going to get very mad at me, Buckeye fans. We're going to be doing a watch party. We're going to be doing both semifinal games. Watch party. Buckeyes, Bulldogs, Wolverines, Horned Frogs. We're going to be doing both games. It's going to be a marathon. 2 separate streams, but we're going to do both games. So come watch with us December 31st and watch along. Put down your comments, your emotions, your feelings right into the comments section as we watch the game together. But the Buckeyes, great offense. C.J. Stroud, 37 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 176 quarterback rating. Fantastic. Mian Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Eckenberg, over 100 tackles. 2 guys, Jack Sawyer. I think he's a sophomore. I think he was a freshman last year. Sophomore this year. 4.5 sacks, getting pressure. McAllister, 3 interceptions. Good kicking game. But do they have the physicality to match with Georgia all game long? We don't think so. We don't. Ohio State has a great talent. And I'm not down on Coach Day as other Big Ten fans, and especially as the Buckeye fans. I don't think the Buckeyes can match the Bulldogs in physicality. The other playoff game, Michigan Wolverines versus TCU, pretty much the same thought. TCU, incredible season. You guys know how much I love Max Duggan. He almost was a Gopher. He was this close to being a Gopher. We had him. And then Gary Patterson swiped him away. 65% completion percentage, over 3,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then you got Kendra Miller, fantastic season, over 6 yards per rush, 1,300 yards. Quentin Johnson, great receiver, future NFL receiver, 53 catches, over 900 yards. T. Winters, 7.5 sacks. TCU winning all those close games. They're going to be a tough out. No question about it. They're going to be a tough out. But Michigan, I gave them the business. When they played Ohio State Buckeyes, I came up on here and I said, you know what? Michigan's passing game is broken. It's broken going into the Buckeye game. That's why I think the Buckeyes are going to win. And what happens? J.J. McCarthy, bam, 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 3 long touchdown passes. That passing game's not broken. That passing game's not broken at all. Donnie Bell, their best receiver. He got injured last year. He came back this year. Had the senior leader of the wide receiver room. Blake Corum, you know about him. Edwards, great running backs. Good tight ends. Very good tight ends. Colson Loveland's going to be a great tight end for next season. Shoemaker, they're great tight end for this year. Of course, they have the great kicking game. Jack Moody, 58 to 58 extra points. That's something like 26 to 32 field goals. There's been a lot of long attempt field goals. I don't think TCU is going to be able to match Michigan's physicality as the game goes on. TCU's defense, it's good, but it's given up the big play. And I think Michigan's going to be able to get some big plays while they run the ball against TCU. I hope for 2 great games. I hope for 2 close games. I don't mind. I don't care who wins. I'm a Gopher, right? And I'm a college football. This is a national show. I'm just saying it like it is. What we believe is going to happen. We believe Georgia is going to beat the Buckeyes by about 10 points. In Michigan, at the end of the day, they're going to beat TCU by a couple of touchdowns. So neither game may not be very competitive going in the second half. But we shall see. We shall see. Put down your comments here, and I'll read them off what you think are going to happen in the playoff games. Let's go to your comments right now. Ryan Matson, I'm cheering for Ohio State and Michigan. Big Ten rematch for the championship. Wouldn't that be something if the Buckeyes and the Wolverines got to the Big Ten championship game? Holy smokes. The tension between those two fan bases, just the radio shows, the message boards, man, that would be absolute fire. Unbelievable. That would be something. I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm not rooting for that. I'm not rooting for Ohio State, Michigan. I'm not going to come in those two games as a Big Ten fan. I'm a Gopher fan. So Big Ten's going to be fine. If the Buckeyes get blown out and the Wolverines get blown out, Big Ten's going to be fine. It's not like the Big Ten needs to win the championship. They would like to. They would love to. Kevin Warren would love to. But, I'm not a Buckeye or a Wolverine. Trust me on that. Of course the Buckeyes have a shot to win. I just don't have them winning it. West Virginia guy. Cole Taylor to West Virginia is a good pickup. Cole Taylor to West Virginia is a good pickup. I think Cole Taylor is the tight end from LSU. And I don't think he has... He hasn't produced much. I think he's played 3 years and he's caught like 16 or 20 passes. I think he's got some... I think he's fat. He's a fast tight end, right? I'm trying to remember. I did read an article about him. Good pickup for West Virginia just because they really need to pick anybody up in the transfer portal at this point in time. We'll see how he does for West Virginia. I know Neil Brown's offense the last couple of years haven't thrown to their tight end, so we'll see what happens. Ted, lose your intel if you break a story before it is wanted. Again, I can only lightly touch upon it. We are not going deep into the story tonight like we advertised, and again, I apologize, and I'll be apologizing through the whole night. It doesn't have to do with the people who gave us the intel. So we're okay on that. We're okay with the people who've been talking to us for the last 3 weeks. But we still can't break it, and we can't go into the reasons why, but stick with us and just keep your eyes and ears open for ACC news in the next 3 or 4 months. We'll see what happens, but stick with us on the story. And when it happens, or when it doesn't happen, we'll know, and then we'll circle back to this date, December 26th, and we'll give you as much reasons as we possibly can and why we couldn't go in the deep dive like we planned to. Just remember, just remember this date, December 26th. Okay, it isn't quite the March 31st that we had in the spring, where we said USC called the Big Ten, and we went through April describing it, why, May, and then June it was announced. December 26th isn't quite like March 31st. It could have been, but we're going to have to sit on it for a little bit longer, okay? And again, I apologize. I don't blame you guys a bit if you're mad at me. Don't blame you a bit. But we're investing in the long run on this story. Okay? That's about the biggest hint I can give you. Matt Higgins, Greg Hudson card, yeah, big pickup. Rebecca Salisbury, Georgia, 51-17 over the Buckeyes. Rebecca coming in with the heat. Wow. Rebecca Salisbury, Michigan, 41-27, late touchdown run, seals it. Okay, Rebecca agrees with me. Rebecca is on board with my predictions. West Virginia guy, gold and blue dude, thinking the ACC has the votes to dissolve. again, we at Peek Around the Corner are not, we've talked about this theory of dissolution for reasons we've gone into, but we are not a big believer in that theory. The dissolution theory is you get 8 schools to vote, 8 ACC schools to vote to close down the conference. Therefore, there's not an ACC conference anymore. Therefore, ACC can't possibly own your grant of rights. The ACC can't possibly own the individual media rights of the institutions because there's no more conference. We've talked about it. We've talked about it here at Peek Around the Corner. But we don't agree with that theory. But let me just, again, I'm only going to lightly touch upon the story that we were going to explore deeply tonight. And we were going to give you great information tonight. But we've had to stand down for most of it. Again, I apologize for those just coming in. One of the things that has bothered us at Peek Around the Corner, not bothered, that's not the right word, confused us. One of the biggest things that has confused us at Peek Around the Corner is Florida State's actions. In regards to, in August, the president, the chancellor of Florida State, came out and talked in front of a Tallahassee commerce, some organization, and basically communicated, and I'm going to paraphrase what the Florida State president was saying. We are spending a lot of time on this issue, conference realignment. We're doing all we can, things of that nature. And my question was, what could you be possibly spending time on? There's nothing that Florida State can do. It's not like you can buy your way out of the gore, and it's not like the ACC doesn't even have to accept your check, and we haven't. At Peek Around the Corner, we are not convinced of the dissolution theory. So what can you be possibly spending so much time on conference realignment and all this stuff? Well, that's what our story is about, was going to be about tonight. There is an exit hatch. Again, we can't get into it. We had to stand down. So we choose to stand down for, and hopefully in a few months, you all find out why. So we don't believe in the just going back to your comment. We don't believe in the dissolution theory of the ACC can just cast off their obligations to ESPN, their media partner, just because 8 schools voted to dissolve the conference. Now, if it happens, we'll be the first ones to say we were wrong. The dissolution theory was not going to be, it's not part of the story that we were going to break and talk about tonight. That wasn't part of it. Again, we're going to get back to it somewhere down the line, so stick with us at Peek Around the Corner. Now, other smart people believe in the dissolution theory, so don't get me wrong. We just don't we don't happen to believe it, and that wasn't part of what we were going to talk about tonight. And unfortunately, I can't get into any more than that. Okay, let's get back to your great comments here. Adrian Rodriguez. I lean Georgia also, only because I think their defense is a little bit better. So far, we don't have anybody taking the Buckeyes. Rebecca Salisbury, DJU to Oregon State is a massive upgrade. The quarterbacks in the Pac-12, if Rising comes back, is insane. Nobody goes undefeated. Rebecca is absolutely correct. The Pac-12 quarterbacks are going to be insane, especially if Rising comes back to the Utah Utes. What I disagree with Rebecca is I'm not convinced DJU to Oregon State is a needle mover. And if he does move the needle for the Beavers next season, you all can come back on Peek Around the Corner and give me the business on it, because I am not quite. I've seen enough of DJ Uiagalelei. I'm not convinced. He had a lot of things going for him at Clemson. And I'm not saying he was bad. I mean, he was 22-6 as a starter, which is great anywhere but Clemson. But he couldn't take advantage of the Clemson's great defense, the short fields. He didn't make those big throws when they needed him. He lost his starting job. Again, is he better than the quarterback, Globertson, the quarterback that the Beavers had for this season? I guess he is. Physically, he can make more plays. The statistics aren't all that different from each other. I'm not sure about... I love Oregon State going into next year. I love about 6 of those teams next year. Pac-12 is stacked next year. Can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Any big opt-outs for either game? Ted, fight in the line. I do not think there is, except for Jackson Smith. Jigba is not playing. Other than that, I don't know. Rebecca Salisbury, West Virginia guy. Notre Dame might be hoping for it, honestly. More money probably to have their other sports in the Big Ten. Justin Cook, as ACC fan and NC State fan, I am nervous. Justin, I want... there's nothing imminent. There's absolutely nothing imminent. This is a story that's going to be played out the next few months. We'll see what happens. But nothing is imminent at this time. We'll circle back to it here at Peek Around the Corner. Believe me, circle the December 26th date. We're going to circle back to tonight at some point this spring. Okay? Michigan and TCU are both second half teams, so it could be a great ending. That is true. That is true. TCU, man. Max Duggan, he brings his team back all the time. That is true. Will do. Here's to Ohio State versus Michigan, the game of all games. Yeah, that would be something else if they met in the finals. No question about it. Adrian Rodriguez, TCU is a really good second half team. Ask Kansas State in their first game. Yes. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Rebecca, any national title game without SEC is a great title game. Wow. Rebecca is bringing the heat tonight. Ted, Ryan Walters signed our running back coach, Corey Patterson, last week, and now picked up Hudson Card today, losing his golden status quickly here in Illinois. Meanwhile, our quarterback situation is causing a lot of stress. No question. Good comment, Ted. Thanks for the great comment. Yeah. Ryan Walters, he's got something going already at Purdue. Hudson Card, getting Hudson Card today. That is a huge get. Just unbelievable. I didn't think they were going to land him. And then they got Corey Patterson. By the way, Corey Patterson, there was some steam in Minnesota that the Gophers were going to land Corey Patterson, or that they were at least targeting Corey Patterson, your running back coach. The Gophers lost their running back coach, Kenny Burns. He's the new head coach of Kent State. Joey Diaglo, nice to see you once again, Joey. Appreciate you, man. Merry Christmas, Greg, to you and your loved ones, to you as well. Rebecca, if the ACC dissolves 100%, ESPN would be driving it to get to certain schools in the SEC. ESPN would lose a lot of money in the ACC network investments and otherwise. Yeah, I agree with you. Just don't think it's going to happen. Don't think dissolving the conference with 8 votes is a possibility. Lots of reasons. So it's just a little frustration because we can't talk about it tonight. But what the story we're going to discuss does not center around dissolution or the theory of dissolution. That is not the exit hatch for Florida State and other schools. But we are going to get to it in the months ahead, so please stick with us at Peek Around the Corner. Again, our apologies. We put out in our message that we were going to discuss the Florida State money perch and their intel that they've given us. And they have no problems with putting this out there. But we can't, we've decided for other reasons we're standing down for this moment. But stick with us. I have one question. On a scale of On a scale of 1 to 10, how close is this USC to the Big Ten? So what Daniel's asking is the information that we do have, that we've decided to stand down for tonight, on a scale of 1 to 10, how close is this to the USC to the Big Ten? What Daniel is saying is when we broke the news that USC was joining the Big Ten, oh God. It's not close as in it's not close when we, as you know more than anyone else, Daniel, when we broke the USC, called the Big Ten, and we gave all the reasons why they were doing it and all the reasons why the pressure was on the Big Ten to do it. For those who don't know, you can go to our pinned tweet at Flag Empire and read the Los Angeles Times article. The USC to Big Ten, when they called, that wasn't imminent, but we knew it was going to happen months down the line. And on June 28th, we were going to say, it's close, it's close, it's close. But then for family reasons, I couldn't get on to do a little video on Twitter. And then on June 30th, it was announced. But we did it day by day, week by week. So it's not close in the scale of timing, right? If something happens, it's not going to happen 3 or 4 months from now. Well, there's not going to be any movement 3 or 4 months. There's not going to be any realignment announcement 3 or 4 months from now, like when we broke the USC to Big Ten. But on a scale of 1 to 10 in regards to how big the story this could possibly grow to, and USC being a 10, this is also a 10. But it's not as assured. It's it's not, the story is not as mature. It hasn't matured like when we broke the USC to okay, you know what? I can say this, and then I'm going to drop it. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to quickly get out of the conversation. When we broke the USC to Big Ten on March 31st, when we knew that they had made the call, and their call was, we want to get in the Big Ten, and we gave all the reasons why as the weeks went on, down the road, months. We were the only ones on it. And then we gave that information to media companies, and a couple of them said, ooh, wow, and we kept giving them real-time information, and they knew what was going on. So when the story broke, they knew it, and all that. But we were the only ones on it. As crazy as that sounds, right? This story is a little different. We're not the only crazy ones. We're not the only ones on it. So if that gives you a little hint of why I can't talk about it tonight, hopefully that gives you all the hint. Okay? We are just in this one, we are just a cog in the machine. And we're letting things kind of play out. And then we'll circle back. And so that's all I can say about it. It's just, please stick with us at Peek Around the Corner for the next few months and see where this goes. And maybe, maybe in 2 months we can say more. A whole lot more. Tonight we can't. So, and I apologize. It was not our intentions to put out a to advertise the show that we're going to talk about something and then say, oh, by the way, we can't talk about it. Not our intentions at all. But very good reason why it's a good decision we don't talk about it tonight. Okay? Again, I apologize, Daniel, and everybody else. Thank you, Joey, for your donation, super chat donation. You've always been so generous to this channel. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Joey. Appreciate it. Even when I've been a jerk tonight and can't tell you guys what we're going to talk about, I did not expect any donations. I appreciate it, Joey. Appreciate it a lot. Okay. Rebecca, DJU stats at Clemson were better than both QB stats combined at Oregon State. We did a stat analysis. We did a comparison, Rebecca, on our last show, on our last episode. I think it was episode 122. Take a look at that episode. DJ's stats aren't all that great at Clemson. His average yards per attempt is really low. Adjusted average yards per attempt is extremely low. They didn't ask DJU to do much for Clemson, and he couldn't even really go and do that. I don't know, Rebecca. You and I are going to be going at it here in 2023. I love it. I love it. Appreciate you, Rebecca. Love your comments. And you are on fire tonight. Absolutely on fire. Jesse Wilson, good evening, Greg. Good evening to you, sir. Jesse Wilson from the great state of Alabama, Husky fan, sitting out in Alabama. Will do, complete conjecture. Conjecture. If FSU, Miami, UVA, and UNC ends up in the Big Ten of the SEC with Notre Dame, it's going to be a wild ride for the leftovers. Yes. Yes. And you basically how do I say something without saying something? Yes, and you hit upon the correct schools in your comment, will do. You hit upon the correct schools. Rebecca, say the ACC dissolved. What are the odds the SEC changes their stance on adding West Coast schools like Washington, Oregon to compete with the Big Ten in 4 time zones? Maybe, possibly. I don't think anything's impossible. I don't think anything's impossible anymore, Rebecca. That's a great question. One of the things that if the SEC wants to expand their footprint and go way out west, whatever, and add more teams, I'm usually not stammering. Anything's possible, Rebecca. Anything is possible. Ted, let's be clear. The ESPN doesn't want the ACC to dissolve. They have a great deal right now with them. Absolutely correct. Ted brings up a great point. Absolutely correct. They do not want the ACC to dissolve. They've invested. They were the sugar daddies for the ACC network. They do not want the ACC to dissolve. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as well. The exit hatch that we were going to talk about tonight, ESPN wouldn't be in favor of it, would not engineer it, would not push for it, but there is a viability to it, according to people that have been talking for the last 3 weeks, and hopefully we can get more detail in a couple months from now. Rebecca, thank you for your super chat, your generosity. Thank you, Rebecca, so very much. You help us keep the lights on here, peek around the corner. And you've come in with a lot of fire tonight. A lot of great comments, like always. But a lot of fire. Appreciate your donations tonight, even on a night when I completely pulled the rug from all of you. And I'm so deeply sorry. I really am. It's going to bother. It bothered me. It's going to keep bothering me. But there's a reason for it. And you got to trust me on this. Just trust me. I know that's tough for me to say, trust me. But just trust me on it. It's better that I handle it the way I'm handling it tonight. Completely unavoidable. But you'll know why, as hopefully months from now, you'll understand what happened here on December 26th. Just circle December 26th on your calendar or on your phone, or however you do it. Just circle this date, and we'll come back to December 26th. Okay? I promise you, December 26th. Okay? All right. Gary, Big Ten West starting to look like a minefield for teams to fight through. Yeah, Gary. Yes, it is. Not good news for my beloved Gophers. Not good news. John Coy, any Big 12 news? No, nothing that we can talk about. Not really. Waiting for that Gonzaga piece to be solved. Big 12 wants Gonzaga. Fox Sports wants Gonzaga. It's in Gonzaga's park now. We'll see what their decision. But they got to make that decision soon. That's what we've been told. There's a certain inertia to all this. There's a certain decision window to all this. We have it to the end of January. We believe some sort of decision will be made soon for Gonzaga to join the Big 12. No one else is saying that, but that's the information we got because Fox Sports wants to move on to some other possibilities in regard. They have to move on and start talking about Big East basketball content. So we'll see what happens here in January. There should be a January story. Gonzaga in Big 12. Greg, sorry, Greg. Save for later. Not imminent, but on the back burner, waiting to be addressed. So to say is what I'm gathering. It's just we're not stopping because of we are not doing a deep dive into it like we advertised because of the people who gave us the information. Okay? So the people who gave us information would want me talking about it tonight. And it's good information. Like it's because we've been pushing this thing around for 3 weeks. Peek around the corner, BTM and his associates. So We were ready to rock. We put it out there, and then we decided to stand down. And I think you'll appreciate why in a few months from now. The Trench Grinch, come on, y'all, hit that like button. Yes, hit that like button. Smash it if you like our content. And I don't blame you if you don't like our content because we pulled the rug from out under you. But please, hit that like button anyways if you do like our content. And we appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel so you can get notified. So when we finally can go into the breach, go into the Death Star of this burgeoning story, you'll be on it with us. You'll be with us when we can finally unleash what we know. Okay? Appreciate y'all. Okay, Greg was on the USC story from the beginning, early March. He knew about it. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Tony, how about the FCS championship game? Mountain West, maybe. South Dakota State Jackrabbits, North Dakota State Bison. Mountain West. Now we did a episode on that a couple days ago. Mountain West, Gloria Nevarez, the new Mountain West commissioner, coming from the WCCC. Now going to be the Mountain West commissioner starting in January 1st, 2023, a few days from now. She said that they're going to be aggressive to try to stay relevant in college football, in college sports. So basically, if you read the article, go back to an episode of Peek Around the Corner, read the article. Mountain West expects, to be blunt, they expect San Diego State to go join the Pac-12, and they're going to have to backfill in San Diego State. So she even said in the article that they talk about expansion, realignment every single day. Daily, she said. We talk about it daily. So Mountain West expects some more movement. And we do as well at Peek Around the Corner. It always goes back to the same thing. Daniel, there are a lot of smart folks in the chat today. Great question. There's always smart, really smart people at Peek Around the Corner. You guys are, you hit me with great questions, tough questions. Tonight's a tough one because I can't get into it. But, yeah, you guys are always great. Every single time we have a live show, you guys bring it. The Trench Grinch, FSU, please, Greg, tell me something good. Stick with us, Trench Grinch. Stick with us at Peek Around the Corner in the months ahead. This was not a coordinated tease. This wasn't anything like that. This was something we were going to talk about tonight, and we held back. And I think you all will find out in a few months why we did. And I think you'll say, Greg, you made the right decision. We don't want to become the story. So that's another thing as well. I'll just put that out there. We don't want to become the story. Okay. Joey, can my Penn State team take down Utah in the Rose Bowl? This is a huge lift for 23, especially with all this young talent we have. 2023 just might be the year they take out Ohio State and Michigan. Possibly. It all depends. Is any Utah fan or any Penn State fan going to do a small donation for me to sing their fight song? If their team wins, I'll sing their fight song on the next live show after the game. If some fan base, if somebody on either side donates to the channel, just the smallest donation possible, maybe that will be what pushes you to victory, Penn State or Utah. I love that Utah song. I love the Utah Man song. Seriously, Penn State, yeah, they can do it. Absolutely, they can do it. And 23 is going to be a big year for Penn State. Because I don't think the Spartans are going to recover. I don't think they're going to have the juice for next year. I really don't. So Penn State, I don't think they're going to have to, they might have to worry about Maryland a little bit. But yeah, I think next year could be the year they take down the Michigan and Ohio State. I think there's a shot. That new quarterback you guys got, though, he's got to progress. He's got to shine. He's got to take it to the next level. Lannis 31. Wow. Thank you, by the way, for the donation, Lannis 31. Appreciate you so very much. West Virginia agreed to the Gores. Have the other Big 12 schools. Man, Lannis, that's a question I don't have the answer to. And I feel bad about it because you donated to the show. I have been told so many different things on this simple question. Simple question. Should have a simple answer. West Virginia, they agreed to it. They had a Board of Regents meeting, and they agreed to it. It was on their docket. I know other schools did too, but I'm being told that they have. I was told that maybe not all the Big 12 schools have agreed to sign the Gore. Now, the Gore only would take place, really, the grant of rights would take place. Oh, what are we talking, Lannis? July 1st, 2025, correct? The current Big 12 Gore goes to June 30th, 2025. So in that aspect, it's not really a big deal. And I'm sure you would have to think that Brett Yormark, to get this early deal done. Remember, they weren't supposed to even be able to get a deal, to even negotiate a deal with ESPN and Fox Sports until another 16 months from now. For Brett Yormark to move that up, to get the deal signed, to get those nice windows, exposure windows that the Big 12 got with ESPN and Fox Sports, you would think part of all that would be, yes, every school agrees to sign the grant of rights, and they're going to, and bam, bam, bam. But other people have told me, no, not all of them have agreed to. I'll have to do a deep dive, Lannis. You would think the answer would be yes, of course. I've had more than one person tell me, no, it hasn't happened. That in theory, they might have agreed to it, but, there's nothing for them to sign right now, and so who knows what could happen. You would think this would be part of the puzzle, that we would have it well established, Lannis, but we don't. Just another mystery. Danielle says maybe FSU sues the ACC and ESPN for breach of contract. No comment on that. Daniel, they try to get themselves out of the very long Gore. Daniel, a contract isn't valid if what was granted isn't being compensated at a proper market value, possibly. Daniel, gotcha. No comment on any of that stuff. John Coy, I heard an unconfirmed report 8 Pac schools are talking to the Big 12. I haven't heard that at all. I don't believe the Big 12 would be interested in 8 Pac-12 schools, first of all. Jesse Wilson, I just smashed that like button. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. The Engineer Bowl between Purdue versus Georgia Tech is closer to the big news. Will Dude is asking John where that Pac-12 report was. Yeah, I haven't heard that. You're killing me. You guys are killing me. Tony, are those strings above your head? Just kidding. Hoping for great Big 12. Tony, you got me. Yes, there's no strings above our heads. This is a completely independent YouTube channel. We are the outpost. We are the rebel outpost of college football. We say it like it is. There are no strings, but there are considerations to relationships. So we are going to take the hit tonight from you all, because I know you all very upset. I'm sure there's a lot of people that wanted to talk about this. We're going to take the hit tonight, and then we're going to have a bigger conclusion later on for all of you. So we decided to take the hit tonight. Again, my apologies to all of you, for people who knew are coming into the chat to our show. We were going to talk about the Florida State money perch and the information that they have been given. They've given to us, and we were going to talk about it. It was going to be pretty big, and we've decided to stand down from doing that tonight. But please stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We will circle back to it. Circle December 26th. Circle that date, and we'll get back to it at a later date. I can't promise what that later date is, but we are going to get back to it. Jesse Wilson, Greg, I picked your Gophers to the Bowl Mania Challenge. Good pick, Jesse. Good pick. Good pick. Well, the Gophers better win that game, since Syracuse is missing like 4 or 5 of the guys, and the Gophers are missing basically nobody. The Gophers should be able to push the Orange Men around on the football field. But if you watch any Gopher games, we almost always push the other team around the field, but yet, things don't go our way all the time. So yes, that line keeps moving up. Now it's Gophers -10. They should win the game. We're going to be doing a live watch party. I think it's Thursday, right? I think the game's Thursday. So, Lannis, exactly. June 30, 2031. Yes. Yeah. The new Big 12 contract's going to go from July 1st, 2005 to June 2031. Lannis, I wish I could have answered that question. I honestly don't know, and it's something I should be able to answer, but man, I've gotten so much different feedback on that question. We'll dig into it, Lannis. We'll dig into it. Thanks for your great comments tonight. David Hall, looking forward to hearing more in the coming months, even if I'm not a fan of FSU. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if the story pops, either way we'll let you know what was possibly going to happen, even if it doesn't happen. There'll be something for us to talk about in regards to what we were going to talk about on December 26th, which was today, which we've had to hold off on. But if it does pop, if the first step of this does pop, the story is even more than Florida State. So it's going to be a massive story. So that's all I can say on that. Will do. Utah Man fight song needs to be sung again, but don't want to get too greedy hearing Greg's beautiful singing voice. Beautiful singing voice. Cornelius Green, praise the Lord, Greg. Yes, Mr. Green, praise the Lord. Daniel, my wife asked me why Greg keeps talking about meteorites. Are you listening to an astronomy podcast? It's probably a word I'm just mispronouncing. I have a strange northern Minnesota accent. I used to be deaf, so the way I talk, I could easily be talking about college football, Daniel, and your wife thinks I'm talking about astronomy. So that's how difficult it is to listen to me talk sometimes. My apologies to Daniel's wife. Rebecca, Greg, we need to get a game made soon for Washington and Minnesota. 1960 Rose Bowl revenge, and from Washington from 1977. Yep, we need that to happen. We need that to happen. Tony, did you give your Wisconsin versus Oklahoma State pick yet? Well, Tony, who's going to be the quarterback of Wisconsin? Who's going to be the quarterback of the Cowboys? Gundy takes bowl games seriously. I mean, he actually tries to, Wisconsin with the new coaching staff, I think that line is, what is that line? 3.5? I think the Badgers are favored by 3.5. I don't know, man. I'm staying away from that game. Staying away from it. Rebecca, might need to hear bow down to Washington after the Alamo Bowl. Ooh, bow down to Washington. OP's talking about I must not have done something I've not gotten the last 4 shows. OP, I really don't. Well, first of all, make sure you are notified. Sometimes when people believe they've got the notification set correctly, they don't. So check that first. Second of all, when I do my live show, I really don't schedule them out on the YouTube dashboard in advance. So there's not something there 30 minutes beforehand for you to hit into and then just wait 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't do it that way. There are many reasons for it. One of the reasons is because I take care of my parents and things can happen, and I try to pop on exactly when I tell people. Follow me at Twitter at Flug Empire, and I usually advertise my upcoming live show a couple of times during the day. But yeah, I need to do a better job of scheduling my show, my live shows. I'll do that. Tony, it's not you. LOL, I'm always listening on my phone and she can barely hear. She just said that you say it correctly. Okay. No problem. No problem. Wisconsin needs a baseball team. Greg, I heard a rumor today. Did you know Wisconsin has a men's hockey team? The Wisconsin Badgers hockey team has gone down to tubes. I don't know what's going on there. Will do. Greg, any idea if the Twitter handle RIP Big Ten Divisions starting in 2024? Don't quite understand. Oh, I get it. Is a reliable source. Is that the smiley face guy? I don't want to. I'm going to say no comment to that. We'll do it. And hopefully you can read between the lines. I think that's who you're talking about, the smiley face guy. But not going to spend any time. Yeah, Danielle says it's genetics. Yeah. I don't have anything to say about it. The only person that I truly rip on this show at Peek Around the Corner is myself. So let's keep it to that rule. Trench Grinch, Greg, you made my day because an hour ago I didn't even know. You know, Greg, you made my day because an hour ago I didn't even know Florida State had a money perch. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being so funny tonight and you had all the reasons to just go after me. All of you. Because I really let a lot of people down. And I knew we were going to take a hit, but it was a professional, good decision that we made to hold off on letting you know the information we have. It's not a tease. We're not doing this. Definitely not doing this to help meet myself. This hurts us to do it. So to not talk about it, but it's worth it. In the long run, I want you all guys to have, we come on here at YouTube to talk about college football because we love college football. We cover everything college football. And that's our community here. And there's only two things we got going for us. It's not my singing voice, that's for sure. It's not the way I talk, that's for sure. It's not our outstanding graphics. That's not either. The two things we got going for us is our credibility and our relationships. And we were not going to sacrifice our relationship to get a story out before we don't want to Okay, this is the best way I can say it. Okay, this is the best way I can say it. When you're a farmer and you harvest the field, you want to do it in a way that you can harvest the field the next year and the next year for whatever crops you're growing, and the next year and the next year. Tonight, we were ready to harvest the field. We were going to bring in the corn, the cob of corn. We were going to bring in whatever we were producing on the farm. And we could have. And we could have made a big bundle. We could have just crushed it today. But we decided to harvest the field a little bit later and then give us a better opportunity to harvest the field just as good further down the line. Hopefully that somehow makes sense to you, because it doesn't make sense to me. Yes, it does make sense to me. That's the best way I can say it. Rebecca, you can rip on me, Greg. I've become the queen of hot takes lately on Twitter. Absolutely. And on Peek Around the Corner. Tony, if the Big Ten goes to 10 games and all teams want 7 home games. Won't it be tough to schedule home and home with the top teams? Yeah, okay, so one of the problems with 10 conference games is you're going to have 5 home games, 5 road games, and then every other year you're going to have 2 home non-conference games and 0 away games, and then the next year 1 and 1. So basically, if you go from 9 conference games to 10 conference games, you will be going from 14 home games every 2 years to 13 home games every 2 years. So every 2 years, you're going to be losing out on 1 home gate. Does that answer your question, Tony? So yes, of course, going to 10 conference games hurts your ability. You only have 2 non-conference games, and every other year you're going to be going 2 non-conference games at home with 0 away games, and then every other year it's going to be 1 and 1. So you're going to be 13 home games every 2 years combined, 14 home games every 2 years combined. So you're going to be missing 1 home game. So to go to 10 conference games, you better have some incentives to do so. One is you better be getting paid a lot more money in media money from your media contract to jump from 9 conference games to 10. Or what's the other incentive? To keep playing each other, all the schools in your conference, as much as possible with expansion included. That's the other incentive to do 10 conference games. Right? So, and we know this, Peek Around the Corner is giving you this information, that the 10 conference games, going to 10 conference games, is being gamed out still today by the Big Ten. We know a few weeks ago, Andy Greeter from the St. Paul Pioneer Press reported that PJ Fleck's new extended contract with the Gophers included incentive clause of 9 conference games, like what's been going on for years with the Big Ten, and an incentive clause that included 10 conference games. And that thing was just signed less than a month ago. So we're sitting here now. Does this having 10 conference games still being discussed in the Big Ten, does that have anything to do with this other thing we're going to talk about tonight? Possibly, maybe, possibly. Oh, God. I'm struggling. Tonight, I am struggling. I'm telling you. Tonight, I'm struggling. I apologize to all of you. Rebecca, Greg, what are your thoughts about, I don't know how to say that quarterback's name. Is it Kleinenholtz? Whatever. Saying he could make more money at Washington than Ohio State, but wanted to be developed and that Ohio State would do that better. Here's the thing. It's probably true. I mean, there's been a lot of complaints in Columbus about the NIL program that other schools have passed them up. But we also have to consider this. These NIL collectives, they have their budget. They know how much money they have in the till, right? And Ohio State, I don't care how much money you have. Even if you have more than Washington, which maybe they don't, but even if you did, you still can't land. Now, they did land this kid. But, I mean, you can't always be the highest bidder for every single player you want. Because other schools, they're not sitting there going, okay, we need NIL money for that 5-star offensive lineman and that 5-star safety and that 5-star running back. Some of these schools, and I'm not saying Washington's one of them, Rebecca, I'm just giving an example. Some of these schools are saying, okay, We're going to load up for this one player. We're going to load up. We're going to this NIL collective. We're going to make sure that we are the highest bidder for this 5-star quarterback, and we're going to outbid these other schools that have larger NIL. That's also coming into play. Now, it could be what happened with this young quarterback. We don't know. I'm just putting that out there as a possibility. None of these schools are going to get everybody they want. I don't care how big the NIL is. Because, let's say Miami of Florida, they got a great class, even though they did horrible last year. They sent out some big money. You got a lot of NIL collectives competing against each other. And no one's going to win the battle all the time. And they all have their budgets. They all have their focus. And it also depends on who is on their roster already, right? What if you have a big-time quarterback, you're putting a lot of NIL money out there, an NIL collective, for a guy who's sitting the bench ready to pop next year, ready to be the starter next year. You're probably not going to put all your NIL money in the next high school class 5-star quarterback. You're going to put that money somewhere else. So I hope I did something with you. Great question there, Rebecca. Roris Sustainable Farming. Roris, I'm sorry. Nice to see you in the house, Roris. Sustainable farming equals crop rotation. Yes. Don't know if that quite fits what I mean, that's true, Roris. Let's go with that. Sustainable farming equals crop rotation. I was thinking more like making sure that I had enough sunlight, water, and fertilizer to get the next crop to be harvested. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, Roris. Thank you for the great comment. Appreciate it. Will do. Harvest that wheat, Greg, so we can continue to have this channel in the future. We need to keep your sources. Again, thank you, Will do. I appreciate your generous comments as always. Again, the reason why we're not doing a deep dive on the subject that I advertised isn't because of the sources. The sources were fine. That's why they gave us information over the last 3 weeks. There are other reasons why we're not going into the deep dive tonight on it. Our sources are fine with us, but we want to keep relationships in other parts of the college football world. Okay. But there are no strings attached either. We're independent. Rebecca, Big Ten needs to find 2 conferences for non-conference games partnership. It would make it so much easier. 13 games, money is less than 14 games. Very true. Greg, the way you talk is part of your charm. I can't stop listening. Thank you for those nice comments. The Trench Grinch, appreciate it. The feed trough isn't empty, but it will be full soon. Come back, folks. Absolutely. Movie Time Blues. Uh-oh. Movie Time Blues. I don't think he's happy with this prediction of Georgia. I don't think he's happy with me tonight. With the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear Ivy League programs being rumored. It's that crazy. Don't think we'll be hearing that. But yes, things are a little bit crazier than people think they are. Let's put it that way. I think it's because people aren't hitting the like button. Please hit that like button. Any thoughts on college coaches that might be the Broncos' radar for their head coaching opening? Don't have any in mind, Ted. I haven't given that a thought. Don't know. Medea Flugar, the moderator. She's out in California right now. My wife of 20 years. She rules with an iron fist inside the chat room. She says, Hello, my boy. She's not acting very tough tonight, but believe me, she is the little general. So if anybody acts up in the chat room, she will come down with an iron fist. I hope you're having fun, honey. I hope you're having fun out there in California. She went to Hollywood yesterday. I asked her to go find that Los Angeles Times building and go give a gift from us to Brady McCullough, the great writer in the Los Angeles Times who wrote a great article on us. I asked her to give him a gift, but they left Los Angeles way earlier than they thought they were going to, and they're somewhere else in California. I can't give up their location. It's an undisclosed location, but hopefully you're having fun, Medea. Have a margarita for me, please. Penix staying at Washington is rumored. Michael Penix staying at Washington is rumored to be getting $3 million for 1 more year. Jesse Wilson. Any news on Washington offensive coordinator going to Texas A&M for the same position? I haven't heard that. Again, smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Please subscribe to our channel. Make sure you get notified of our upcoming show. If you want to help us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner, please hit that $ in the chat. And when you say anything, we'll do a deep dive on it as quick as possible. Let's get back to the comments. Tony, the Agriculture Report and college football, and the singing voice. Greg, you truly are a jack of all trades. I heard Kevin Warren's goons are parked in a van across the street. Nothing. This is nothing about the Big Ten. Nothing about the Big Ten. The reason I'm not talking about has nothing to do with what the Big Ten wants or not want to have discussed out in the open. Ted, Medea is out scouting USC and UCLA. Medea says, yes, I am, Ted. Ted, nobody wants my wife to be, I better be nice here. Yes, no, yes, she is scouting UCLA and USC. Yes, first of all, Ted, you have to explain what the football is out there, and then she'll be able to scout those two teams. Wild Jute, it's your fault that Greg calls you Will Dude. I don't know why I do that. Wild Oot. This year's coal is a great Christmas present. David Hall, I realize you may not be able to give specifics, but would any Big Ten expansion candidate help the hockey league or lacrosse? I don't quite understand the question. Yeah, I don't, there is, helping the hockey league or lacrosse isn't really, for the most part, isn't really part of any expansion decision. So it doesn't really come into play. Now, like Notre Dame's already in the men's hockey conference, so like Arizona State has a men's hockey program, but Big Ten isn't going to take Arizona State because of their hockey program. Does that make any sense? I hope I answered your question. Rebecca, Greg, what is your Alamo prediction? Washington. And if I don't say Washington, I'm going to get heat from you. So I'm going to say the Washington Huskies. Roars, is the ACC going to implode this offseason so the Big Ten can grab Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, and Notre Dame? No, the ACC is not going to implode this offseason. What might happen is the ACC is not going to implode this offseason. But there might be the ACC is definitely not going to implode this offseason. But the story of the ACC might be changed and looked at differently in the next few months. Okay? So, Roris and everybody else, I completely understand. A lot of frustration why I can't talk about this, even though I am the one who freely advertised that I would talk about FSU Money Perch. And FSU Money Perch is not, they didn't tell me I can't talk about it. In fact, they wanted me to. It's just something else that we can't really do a deep dive into. We choose not to do a deep dive into tonight because it was the professional and the correct decision to make. And so even though I've frustrated a lot of people tonight, I just can't do it tonight. So no, there's not going to be any imploding this off season. But I think the story might go possibly in a different direction, like a new direction this off season, with potential of some big story stuff happening. So we'll circle December 26th. Circle it on your date. We'll come back to it, and then I'll be able to explain most of the reasons why we couldn't do a deep dive tonight. Opie, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the week. Opie, thanks for all the wheat you give us, Greg. Appreciate it, Opie, so very much. Again, I apologize. We couldn't bring in the wheat tonight. Putting a little bit more fertilizer in. I'm not sure, but we'll get to it, Opie. But thank you so much for your generosity, your continued generosity to the show. Thanks for everybody for the generosity. Not you guys keeping the lights on, that's fantastic. But for you guys not to absolutely crush me tonight, and we deserve to be crushed tonight, I appreciate you so very much. But just hang in there. Hang in there. Just hang in there until the spring. Just hang in there. Okay? And if this thing gets illuminated somewhere else, I'll have a special signal to you. You all let me know in the comment section how do I do this? If I do an episode or a live show because something comes up in an article or something, and it has to do with what we were going to talk about tonight, I'll give you a little like this. And for those in the live show tonight, then you'll know, like, okay, this is part and parcel of what Greg was going to talk about on December 26th. So so for people in the live show tonight, there will be a special signal that I give you if I'm doing an episode 141 of Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. And if I'm bringing up a story and I go like this to my nose, then you'll know at least some of that, of what was in that article, was part of what I was going to talk about. And then eventually we'll be able to unleash it, Peek Around the Corner, on what we were told from about December 4th to December 26th. December 5th to December 26th. These last 3 weeks. That's the best I can do with that. Thank you, Opie, for your generosity. Appreciate you so very much. I'm not going to be able to quite get to all these questions, but I'm going to get to as much as possible. Gary, if North Carolina has similar offers to join the Big Ten of SEC, I believe they go to the Big Ten. What do you think? If I had to put my chips in the, if North Carolina is not in the if North Carolina is not in the ACC conference at the end of this decade, I put my money on North Carolina being a member of the SEC. That's what I put my money on for right now. Jesse, Rebecca, our Huskies will show out against Texas. I do think Texas is back. I do think the Longhorns are back for next year. I got a couple of tough DMs in my Twitter account when I announced that Texas was back on the last live show. I think they're back. I think they're back with Arch Manning and some of those recruits they got in the secondary. They got to stud. I think Texas is finally back. I got a couple really nasty direct messages. That's college football for you. Okay. Root Menu Guy, the Trench Grinch told me to come over and give you a like. I appreciate you, Root Menu Guy, for coming all the way over to the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Peek around the corner. Thank you for the like. Smash that like button. Appreciate it. Sean saying, damn, FSU talk, and I missed the beginning of the show. You didn't miss much, Sean, because we can't do a deep dive into it. We advertised it, but before we came on, we had to make a decision to stand down. We can't talk about it tonight. We lightly touched upon it. Give us some few months. Let this thing move, and we'll talk about it once it pops, if it pops. I mean, at some point, I'll be able to tell you what December 26th was going to be all about, even if this doesn't happen. But either way, you're going to know what tonight was supposed to be all about, hopefully in the next few months. Could be even sooner than that. So just bear with us. It's true, the name is pronounced Wild Ute or Wild Ute, but my kids always giggle when Greg says it his way. I've grown to like it his way. Wild Oot. uh, there's nobody who mispronounces more words than your humble host, Greg Flugar. No question about it. Rebecca, our Huskies are going to show the nation what next season is going to look like against Texas. A lot of heat on this chat room tonight. Lots of heat. Lots of heat. Son of Sarek, the silence may indicate a need to avoid tampering complaints. My silence, Son of Sarek, no. No, I'm not, my silence and what we're going to talk about tonight has nothing to do with the source wanting us not to talk about it, because we were given the information for me to actually talk about. So that's not it. And any me being worried about me being sued or whatever, nah. Nope. That's not either. This is a way for us to maintain the ability to harvest the field again and again and again, to build upon relationships and all that stuff. But this story will just be patient. Be just a little bit more patient. And we'll circle back to December 26th. Roris, I think the snooty elites from North Carolina would rather hang out with the snooty elites from the Big Ten instead of the rednecks from the SEC. I would put my chips to the SEC for North Carolina for the because of North Carolina's relationship with ESPN, the state relationship with ESPN, SEC's. In a lot of these scenarios, the SEC would probably eat first, and I think they eat North Carolina and Virginia first. More than ever do I believe that now. So that's why I would put my chips in with the SEC. Again, we're talking today, December 26, 2022. My opinion might change halfway through next year, but that's how I would have it whenever this could possibly happen. Do you remember at Peek Around the Corner, we often talk about cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger? If you haven't read if you go to Flug Empire, you see on the ticker below the screen. If you go to our Twitter, and you might want to follow me at Twitter at Flug Empire, just because I advertise these shows and you get a heads up when the next show is. But if you go to the pinned tweet, it has this Los Angeles Times article. I don't know what I can say. There's cloak and dagger stuff going on right now, even though nothing is imminent, like no official announcement of realignment, whatever. But there's cloak and dagger stuff, and this is. And I'm not the I'm trying to say this. This this thing we're going to talk about tonight hasn't it is not just something that only I know. Okay, even though we at Peek Around the Corner and BTM and Associates have, we only see one window of something, right? We only see one angle of something. And we see it. We've been told it. We've been explained. But we're not the only one that other people are holding some puzzle pieces. So hopefully that sort of explains. So we're holding back for right now. Okay. Okay. Movie time blues. My speculation is something worked out between the SEC, ACC, and ESPN with the possibility of Big 12 involved, but not until a year from now. No, nothing's been worked out. Not if this is something pertaining to the story that I was going to talk about, nothing's been, that isn't quite what we were going to discuss on December 26th. James Foster, create a safe word. We will not, pineapple. A lot of people in the chat room are saying that North Carolina would choose the Big Ten because of research. Very good points. Very good points. Roris, FSU, and Miami aren't getting their AAU certifications to join the SEC. You also don't need your AAU certification to join the Big Ten. People who've been following us for years at Flug Empire, and for the first 4 months of this channel, the AAU status is that's a myth in the Big Ten. Now, it helps if you are a big research university. It helps you to get the votes that you need in the Big Ten. You need to be Big Ten like-minded. But that AAU status, the certification, that is a private organization. Yes, all the Big Ten schools are in that private organization, except for Nebraska. But the Big Ten is not going to have a private organization hold the veto power on who gets an invitation to the conference or who doesn't. Michigan State received an invitation to go join the Big Ten years before they became AAU. Notre Dame's not AAU. They're not going to be AAU. But yet, Big Ten would take them in a heartbeat. And there are other exceptions out there. Oklahoma would have been one of them. If Texas and Oklahoma would have called the Big Ten together, Big Ten would have accepted them. But they called Greg Sankey. Florida State, Miami, Florida. They'd be accepted into the Big Ten, even without that AAU status. Daniel, I need to check my Twitter followers to see if our Big Ten office friend is following us again. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be following me ever again. Roris, the Big Ten is a national football conference, so if North Carolina wants to make more money and get national exposure, they will join the Big Ten. Plus, they have value in academics and research grant. A lot of great comments. Opie, I've never seen someone so much want to say something, but it's just killing them not to say it. is quite funny.
Aww.
Yeah, it's it was pain. It's painful. But I know that I know we made the right decision. I just wish that that before I told you all what we were going to do tonight, because we made the decision. I made the decision early afternoon. I said, we're doing it. We're doing it because there's enough there. There's enough there, right? There's enough there, and I could explain it to you, and I could bring up other stories, and it's there. But then I was brought to attention of something else, and if I would have known that, I wouldn't have advertised the show that we did. So it was just circumstances, and I'm gonna feel bad about it for days, honestly. Me putting out an advertisement saying we're going to talk about the FSU money perch, and then we don't do it. That's a hit. I'm going to take a hit for tonight. But it's going to be well worth it months down the road. Just stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Please, stay with us. The problem is with this community is the Peek Around the Corner. You guys are so smart. Son of Sarek, Dent Cunningham, the North Carolina athletic director, called Delaney after this last round of expansion, and Delaney basically told him to be patient. Yes, be patient. That's all I'm going to say about that. Be patient. Everybody be patient. A little bit more patience. A lot of great comments. I'm just trying to... Daniel, he also told Rutgers to be patient for about 10 plus years. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Big Ten was talking to Rutgers well before they were admitted into the conference. Rebecca, Greg, more intel is all we needed to hear. Sources change their mind all the time as to when to release the info. Well, thank you for that comment, Rebecca. This was not me not talking about this information to make the decision right before we came on air. Had nothing to do with the source. It had to do with something else. The source would be just fine. In fact, might be even a little disappointed we did talk about it tonight, because we're given the information for a reason. So people kind of know we put that USC information out there in March, right? We gave the reasons why. We were completely transparent. People who gave us that information wanted it out there to put the pressure. It was called the soft push. It's all described in that pin tweet at Flug Empire. And if you watch our other episodes, like go to episode 22, if you knew the channel, go to episode 22. We explain this whole process that we went through. This is sort of the same thing in the sense that, okay, people talk to BTM and his associates, money perch, money, bye-bye, let's give it to Greg. It's okay, we're talking this week, next week, we got enough information. Boy, wow, bam. Let's put it out there. Source says it's okay to put it out there. We advertise. We're going to give it to y'all. And then something else kind of came up to where, no, you know what? the right call is not to put it out there at this time. The right call is not to put it out there at this time. So that's what happened. But it wasn't from the source. Source is fine with us talking about it. So we'll see what happens here in the spring of 2023. Okay? Daniel, Greg, do you remember the rumor that the Big Ten has a $1 billion expansion realignment fund? Could they use it to help Florida State instead of loaning Rutgers more money every year? I don't know anything about that $1 billion realignment fund. Don't know anything about it. Curtis, nice to see you in the house, sir. Curtis. I have a friend who was in the medical research at Miami, Florida. He said without reservations, Miami and Florida State, in fact, wants the Big Ten, not the SEC. I think Miami and Florida State would take either one. Whoever wants them, whoever gives them a first or decent offer, I think they're gone, if and when that happens. I don't think they would have I don't think either school would say yes to a Big Ten or SEC invitation, and they'd say yes in a heartbeat. Steve Moser, nice to see you in the house. The Big Ten adding Maryland and Rutgers instead of Notre Dame and Kansas is still hilarious. Well, Notre Dame never said yes. If Notre Dame ever said yes to the Big Ten here in modern times, Big Ten, they'd be in the Big Ten. Maryland and Rutgers, Delaney was always going to expand in the East for the 13th and 14th school. He wanted the Eastern media. He wanted the demographics. He wanted to be in high population areas. He wanted the cable boxes in that time of the Big Ten network growing, cable boxes. He was always going to go east. Virginia said no. North Carolina wasn't interested. Maryland said yes, and Rutgers was the other school. And if Maryland at the last second would have said no, Big Ten would not have taken Rutgers, and they would have been at 12 teams. That was about securing that second region of the Big Ten, establishing that Eastern region, making sure that Penn State was going to remain happy in the Big Ten. Greg, Bob Thompson tweeted something cryptic 4 days ago about watching more realignment news. Excuse me. If you have that tweet, Daniel, or if anybody else has it, please send it to me right now on Twitter. If anyone can see that cryptic tweet of Bob Thompson of 4 days ago, please send it to me. I would like to see that. Steve Mosier, Kansas has 2 titles since the last Big Ten title. No doubt about it. Kansas Jayhawks, big time basketball program. Big time basketball program. Big Ten, they can get to the Final Four. Their teams can get to the Final Four, to the championship game, but they can't seem to win it. Bob Thompson, going to check out a Twitter till something newsworthy happens with TV rights or realignment. Seems like we're just rehashing the same things. Yeah, I don't know if that's a cryptic tweet or not. I don't know. Rebecca Salisbury, have a great night, Greg. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining us. I did see your tweet. Thank you for your tweet to me on the offensive coordinator, Washington Huskies, Texas A&M. I'll give it a read after the show. Thank you, Rebecca, for keeping me informed on what's going on out there. Appreciate it. I've sort of hinted tonight about this Florida State thing, the one exit hat, the perception of yeah, I don't know what he knows or what he doesn't know, what he's heard, what he hasn't heard. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Curtis. Maryland and Rutgers was for the massive media grab. It also made Penn State happy. Notre Dame has not said yes. Correcto Mundo, but Notre Dame has not said no either. I did hear Notre Dame hasn't signed their new media contract either. I did hear Swarbrick in an interview with the Mike Golick Jr. and Mike Golick Sr. I listened to it today as I was preparing the show, as I was finding out that maybe we couldn't do what we're going to plan to do tonight with the FSU information. But I listened to Swarbrick, and he basically said, of course, he's always going to talk positive about Notre Dame's position, right? For leverage reasons. He talked about how basically him and Mike Golick Sr. are going back and forth. But in regards to realignment, Notre Dame is happy with the new playoff structure, with 6 at-large bids. So they're happy to stay football independence. They're happy that they have a home for their Olympic sports, non-revenue sports. But it was going to mainly, that last thing they needed to get nailed down was the new media contract. That was the thing they needed to get nailed down. Because he said a couple times in the interview with Mike Golick Jr. and Mike Golick Sr., Jack Swarbrick, the Notre Dame athletic director, he said a couple times, well, we know we need to get as much revenue as possible to because we want to compete with the highest level of those schools that usually win the college football championships. We need to make as much money as they do. Basically what he was saying. But there's another part to this whole, I can talk about this. There's another part to this whole thing that Swarbrick did not touch upon, but it's a big part of all this, and that is 2026. We don't know what the world is going to look like. We don't. I know that sounds brutal because, my goodness, we've just been through a whole bunch of changes. How can we go through more? Well, buckle up. Brace for impact. 2026 is a world that is completely unknown. Peek around the corner, we love to give you a peek around the corner. That's what we're here for, YouTube, right? We're trying to give you that peek, that little intel, that little more content that you need, that you want to get you to see what's going to happen next. But 2026 is a whole new blessed world in college football. And all the moves, let's just talk December 26th. I mean, every decision going forward is, from a conference or from an institutional perspective, has to do with the world of 2026. And we don't even know what it's going to look like, but and because we don't know what it's going to look like, everybody's jockeying for position to make sure that they're in the best spot possible when this 2026 happens. What do I mean by that? We've talked about it, peek around the corner. We're going to continue to talk about peek around the corner. But the playoff structure of 2026 and all that money that's going to be coming in, just like it's coming in 2024, 2025, we don't know how that money is going to be distributed. We don't know what that playoff structure is going to look like. We know absolutely nothing, because everything that was decided upon, everything, is about 2024 and 2025. The six conference champions, top 6 conference champions, get an automatic berth. Top 4 conference champions get a first round bye. 6 at-large berths. Oh, and by the way, the money that comes in, 80% of it's going to be distributed among the Power 5 schools. 20% of that's going to be distributed among the G5 schools, approximately. Okay. But none of that pertains to 2026. And by the way, 2026 is you're going to have open bidding on the 11 games, the content that's going to make up the playoffs. So you're going to have this enormous money coming in. Enormous money coming in. We have big money coming in 2024, 2025. But this is going to be open bidding for 2026 playoffs. So you're going to have all this money coming in. And we don't even know who's even going to be in the room to vote for this new playoff structure. Because for 2024 and 2025 playoff structure, we needed a unanimous decision among the 10 FBS conferences in Notre Dame. 2026, we don't need unanimous decision. We don't need consensus. We need a majority vote. And we don't even know who's going to be in the room to vote for the majority of the vote. Notre Dame, who Swarbeck says love their positioning right now, in an interview with Golix, 2024 structure, 2025 structure, everybody needed Notre Dame's vote for it to pass. For this college football playoff expansion, everybody needed Notre Dame to say yes. 2026, nope. Don't need Notre Dame's vote to say yes to pass the new playoff structure. People are going to want Notre Dame to vote yes, but they're not necessarily going to need Notre Dame to vote yes. Now, do you see how much leverage Notre Dame's going to lose in the 2026? Who else loses leverage? Who else gains leverage? You understand why the Pac-12 might want more than 10 votes going into 2026 playoff structure negotiations? The ripple effects knows no ends. It doesn't end. The 2026 is a mystery wrapped in a riddle, whatever that saying is. And everybody is jockeying for position. Everybody. FCS teams want to go up to FBS, the G5, to take part, to have some of that money. There's an 11th football FBS conference that's trying to form, right? A 6 G5 conference, G6 conference is trying to form because they want part of that playoff distribution money. That's bigger than what they get in media money. And G5 schools are still doing the best they can to push up to a Power 5 program. And then the Power 5 conferences are gaming out what they can possibly do for the best advantage for their institutions going into 2026. And Notre Dame has that in mind. And part of what we were going to talk about tonight for Florida State and the money perch and all of that has to do with positioning themselves the best for 2026, 2027. But we're going to have to hold off on that. But we're going to get to it. Just circle December 26th. Now, we're going to end this on that little rant of mine. We are going to Linda Olson, which conferences are in on the ACC breaking up? Thank you for joining us, Linda Olson. I would say they're not in on the ACC breaking up. There is no collusion going on right now. There is no coordination that we know of, Lindell, that's going on right now. There is something going on, but there is no collusion. There is no coordination. Tony, the goons are at the door. Okay, I'm going to end this right now before I get in any more trouble here at Peek Around the Corner. Please, before you leave, smash that like button. Please smash the like button. Subscribe to our channel. I know we did not answer the questions you had. I deeply, deeply apologize. This is not your regular Peek Around the Corner. When we advertise something that we're going to talk about, we talk about it. But we couldn't do it tonight. We couldn't do it tonight. Don't sleep with the fishes, Greg. Greg is about to blow up. Again, stay with us at Peek Around the Corner. Please subscribe to our channel. You'll get notified of a next live show. And again, the next time we advertise this Florida State money perch, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But tonight we could not. It was the best decision. Even though it hurt us, our credibility tonight, it's the best decision we could make going forward to harvest the field again. Please, until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, 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 you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.